Riverside.
Hello and welcome into the Sad Fan, where we talk about the good, the bad, and everything that made you sad from the previous week. And this week, it may seem slow, but there was a lot of ancillary things that happened, a lot of things that made us smile that probably shouldn't have made us smile, and those things may have been the same things that made us sad. As always, I am your host, Brandon Fry, joined by my co-host, Wesley Watkins, and our amazing producer, Taylor Stone.
Hello.
What's up, guys?
And we are going to start with what made us sad, as we usually do here. And what made me sad this week was Anita Alvarez. And not that she's not going to be allowed to compete moving forward, but that the lifeguard didn't try to save her when she fainted in the pool. So those of us that are listeners that are not familiar with this story, it is not a smiley story, but I can't help because during the last Summer Olympics, a comedian came out and made a joke that said, are the lifeguards that are at the swimming competitions just there as hood ornaments? They're just, again, ancillary objects that just exist with some of the best swimmers in the whole world. Because in this instance, we had a young lady who fainted in the pool while swimming, and no one saved her until her coach realized she was sinking to the bottom of a swimming pool, drowning, and the coach had to jump in and save her. And that is when the lifeguard jumped into action. Like, I can't be shown up by some swimming coach. And then he jumped in to save her as well. And I will say, a sad part of this was those pictures were terrifying. Did either of you see this story?
I saw the story, but I didn't see the pictures.
I saw the pictures. I saw the story on the news. I read about this story on the news. As far as like the lifeguards and the hood ornament situations, I think a lot of that comes down to like the legal liability of just having to have them present makes you not liable, pretty much, is what it almost feels like.
Yeah.
Also, I just want to clarify, I don't know that she won't be able to compete moving forward. I don't think that that's necessarily true. She was banned from further competing in the 2022 World Aquatics Championships. So I think that might have been just the further rounds of the competition she was already competing in. I don't know if
the World Championships.
Yeah, I don't know if it has any bearing on her moving forward. This is not the first time this has happened either. Apparently, her coach has jumped in to save her like this in the past, including about a year ago at a different competition. The same thing happened.
Sounds like she has like a medical problem.
No, she does. She definitely does. I don't know what the condition is or why specifically, but she has this history of like fainting spells.
I feel like that's something that like the lifeguard should know, especially at these elite competitions. Like, if there's someone with like a possible like medical issue, like they should be there.
Pool narcolepsy.
Yeah, I mean, like
she has swimming narcolepsy.
I mean, it doesn't really matter at that point. Like, I'm pretty sure she had finished her routine. Like, her routine had just ended, and she went under the water. Like, anyone who finishes their routine leaves the pool. So clearly something's wrong. It's not like she's in the middle of her routine and you're like, oh, maybe she's, doing some weird stunt thing. What's happening? No. She was done. She should have been leaving. And she just sinks to the bottom of the pool.
Yeah, well, I mean, I imagine it's like a running race or something like that. Like, someone collapses and then like the medical personnel just do nothing. They're like, oh, he's just laying down. He's taking a nap. He's taking a nap.
It's almost like that. Oh, well, they didn't do it while they were competing, so it has nothing to do with us. We don't have to do that, is almost how it feels. I forgot what I was listening to or watching. I think it was actually a coworker told me a story that it was just really, really super hot day, and almost like heat stroke kind of is about to set in, but he's like rushing up the hill to get to work. And in his head, he's going, just get there and then pass out. Just get there and then pass out, because then someone has to take care of you.
He probably wasn't expecting it. I mean, he's probably like done that for like how long? I mean, like and he's never had to save anybody. And he's probably just like off in his own world, like thinking about whatever. And then just like all of a sudden everyone's screaming. He's like, oh shit,
I will say, if you're a lifeguard at a world championship Olympic event, the last thing you feel you have to do is be saving the people who are
Right.
undoubtedly better at that than you are.
Yeah.
Though, but it brings me to the image of the cameramen that are filming the sprinters and how they're running with the sprinters at the exact same, like almost as fast. Like maybe those guys should be running. What are we doing? Like if they can run like that with the camera, what are we doing here? But not in this case. No, that lifeguard did not have me thinking he should be a pro swimmer because I felt like he was just like nudging everybody, like, nah, it's all part of the act. It's all part of the act. You guys are gonna see it. It's gonna be all part of the act. She's gonna come up soon. I hope. I think. Oh God, she's drowning. All right, so Wes, what made you sad this week?
I guess like so the NFL hiring a gambling executive, so they
Yeah.
hired David Highhill. I mean, he was already in the NFL. He's been with the NFL for like a really long time, and they're like corporate strategy group. But he's tasked with leading the NFL's like sports betting strategy. Per the NFL,
Which
he's
you would assume that's going to be a big part of their money.
oh yeah,
drive
especially
now.
like
I mean,
with them partnering with like DraftKings and all of that. But
mm-hmm.
they said he's going to be leading efforts to protect the integrity of the game from gambling related harm and advance the league's brand and reputation and grow the NFL's intellectual property. And meanwhile, you have Calvin Ridley, who is betting on games. I mean, which he probably shouldn't. It kind of looks bad, but he was banned for a year or suspended for a season from playing. And meanwhile, the NFL just gets deeper and deeper into gambling. Like,
Yeah, they hit him with the vested interest suspension,
yeah.
right? Like he had a vested interest in what the outcome of the games. But I think when you and I talked about it offline, he wasn't even playing in
No,
these games. He was injured.
no, he wasn't. Yeah, he was injured all last season. Like he had nothing to do with the games. Like it's not like he was gambling on a game that he was playing in.
So are like boxers able to bet on other boxing matches that they're not a part of?
They can, but they can't. They can't bet on boxers that they may back or sponsor. So if it's a boxer that's in like their stable or comes from their camp, they cannot bet on that boxer.
Right. No, I get that.
Because yeah,
But okay, see, that's where it gets a little dicey, I guess. How do you know who has a connection to what team or friends on this team or that team? I feel a little more complicated when you have so many people on each team playing. How do you really monitor who's entangled with who?
you hire High Man.
Yeah,
That his name was
David
Mr. High Man.
Highhill. Yeah,
What is that?
you hire someone to lead their gambling initiatives.
Yeah, right. And just okay, what team are you a part of, sir? Placing the bet today. He's going to be at every casino, just a hologram of him. And you, sir, are you a part of an NFL organization? Do you have a vested interest? But yeah, I think anyone that can impact the outcome of the event is not allowed to gamble on that event. Is the main thing that they're trying to do there.
I think NFL players in general are prohibited from gambling on other NFL games. I'm not sure if it just has to do with their team. I think it's NFL games
in general.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure more of this is going to come out. This is new. This is not something that's been around. I mean, this just started. The Big Bang was maybe a couple years ago, and now it's starting to get legal in more and more states, and I'm sure it'll be legal across the country soon. But it's brand new. And Wes, what was his suspension for? Was it a full year or a year and a half?
Pretty sure it was a full season. Just one season.
So a full season suspension, and I think he did like a parlay, if I'm not mistaken. Like it was a crazy parlay that you'll never win, like an 8-team parlay or something.
I guess if you want to gamble, like that's cool, whatever. Just gamble on something else. Get a hobby. Don't gamble on work.
Absolutely, but what cracks me up about this is when you look at what the actual bet he placed, it was on like an insane parlay that no one ever wins. Like you never see someone win this parlay. You always see someone like come up one team short, and that's the story.
Well, and then when they do, they win like $1 million, and it's a huge story.
Now,
yeah.
Now
they do. If they
this
do.
bet that he made, is this like the one and only bet he made and he got caught doing it, or he has made bets prior to this one?
This is it.
Uh, so so it says he placed bets during a 5-day period.
See,
Hmm.
that's
So
sketchy.
like within a work week.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you don't have a history of gambling, and all of a sudden you place this like very specific, ludicrous bet. Something saucy.
But it wasn't a lot of money either. To him, comparative, it wasn't a lot of money. And I think what we see here is
He probably
we've
got
all
drunk at the
been.
sports book.
Oh my gosh, and not just that. I mean, Taylor, have you been to like a Super Bowl party or some other like sporting event where you get drunk, you get a little sauced, and an ad comes on, and you're like, that looks pretty cool. I think I'm gonna try that. And you're sitting there on your, especially in today's world, you're sitting there on your cell phone, and you pull it out, and you're like, oh, cool, this is a cool thing. I'm gonna bet $10.
Yeah, he bet fifteen hundred
No,
dollars,
okay,
and he has probably like
I'm sorry.
millions.
You said, did you ever see a
yeah,
commercial and then pull out your phone and order a pizza? Because that's what I heard.
yes, yes.
No, I do
I
not.
hate
I
it.
do
It's
not bet
insidious.
on random things like that. I don't think I've unless I've gone to like a casino for fun or something. No, I can't really say I've ever like bet or gambled. I'm too um novice to trust myself to do something like that.
Gotcha. Well,
Yeah, he said he bet
apparently you're
fifteen
not that
hundred.
novice.
So it's like
Yeah,
compared to his salary, it's nothing. It's like $10 for
he's
us.
and he's gonna sign a very wealthy contract very soon. So, or he may have already. I might have that wrong. He may have just signed a pretty lucrative contract. So I may have that backwards. It's either he has a contract coming up or he just signed a very lucrative contract. So if you look at the money like Terry McLaurin, these receivers are making right now, he's going to be $100 million over the course of the next 5-10 years, depending on the contract he gets.
Yeah.
So I would say he's about to be $60 million over 5 years with 45 million guaranteed. He's at least that minimum, at least that, and they're probably going to utilize the suspension against him. But Taylor, you said something interesting. You said you're not good at this and you're a novice at picking, but you and Wes were right on the NHL finals. The two of you nailed it. I was wrong.
I don't even like the Avs, but I don't like seeing the same team win over and over and over unless it's my team.
Of course, of course. If Oregon Ducks won NCAA championship over and over and over
I
again,
love
you
it.
would love it. You'd live every
Oh,
year.
absolutely.
Also, I just like being
Uh,
right.
There you go. And you guys nailed it with Cale Makar winning the Conn Smythe Trophy. They were pretty much unstoppable because you also had McKinnon on that team who has been around every time they've gotten closer and closer and closer. And this year they finally closed the deal on what could be the best team of our
They
generation as far as hockey is
dominated.
concerned.
They dominated.
I will say though,
Yes, start to finish.
I don't know. A lot of the games went into overtime, so I don't consider that dominating, but it was very
I mean,
entertaining.
through the earlier, I mean, it's the Stanley Cup Finals, so of course it's going to be closer. But they swept the Western Conference Finals, I think, against Edmonton.
Hmm.
Well, yeah, maybe. I just thought you meant this series. Like,
Oh no! Overall in the
Well,
playoffs,
they
they
put a ton of
dominated.
goals.
oh,
They put a ton of goals on a Tampa Bay Lightning team that was known for insane defense. Vasilevsky has been insane in the goal over the last 3 years. Like insane. They don't allow points. And I want to say in the first game of the Stanley Cup Finals, I think the Avalanche poured in like 6 goals.
Yeah, game two they won
So
7-0.
yeah. So they torched Vasilevsky, and they made him look like a novice, if you will, which is crazy because this guy was about to be a 3-time champion. Like I said, I called for the three-peat. So to see the Avalanche make it there with some young talent and look great doing it, like Wes said, they tore through the conference. They tore through the conference.
Yeah.
It wasn't close. Um, and then Tampa gets there, and I thought the Juggernaut was going to keep juggernauting. You know, the old YouTube video. I'm the Juggernaut, bitch. I thought they were just going to keep going and going and going. And then out of nowhere, the Avalanche made me look like an idiot. Game one, right away. Game two, right away. And I was like, well, I'm just going to live on a prayer, Bon Jovi, and hope for the best here. But you know what the end of every season brings? Hope for all the teams that sucked. So, Wes, us Kraken fans,
Yeah.
We
Maybe
just got to
next
get
year.
it cracking.
Next year, right?
Maybe next year. Here we
There's
go.
always
Next year's
year.
a whole new season.
I'm definitely gonna go to a bunch of games. So
You have to. You have to. That I love that stadium. The if you're listening, Seattle Kraken, your condiments are a bit overpriced. But outside of that, the stadium's amazing. The atmosphere is amazing. The fans are amazing. The team could be better,
yeah,
but
better. It's their first year. Not everyone
right.
can be Vegas.
Oh my gosh, the Vegas Golden Knights set an impossible standard because they're in the playoffs every single year. They made it to the Stanley Cup their first year. Like that standard that'll never be matched again,
No,
right? In any sport.
no, not for a brand new team. Like if you
No.
just look at like the history of like expansion teams in the NFL and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
they sucked. They were terrible coming out.
If you're an expansion team in the NFL, you're going to have the first pick 2 years in a row.
Yeah,
That's just the way
yeah.
you're going to be terrible. But it's insane what they did, and I'm not just talking about the Stanley Cup their first year. I'm talking about also that little run they've had since they've been a franchise.
They just can't quite get it done though.
No. I mean, but only one team every year does,
Yeah.
right? So to be a brand new franchise and be doing what they're doing, it's pretty crazy. And the Las Vegas Aces, for you WNBA fans, they're looking like they're going to do it too because they were a recent franchise and they were, in my opinion, the best team last year, and they're currently the best team. So must be something in the water, Las Vegas. Sorry for the cliche, or the liquor. It may not be the water. Speaking of the city,
It's all the yardsticks everyone's
Now-
drinking.
Now, speaking of hope, we got a couple older gentlemen that once brought their franchises hope that are in the news this week in Russell Westbrook and Kyrie Irving. Russell, because he accepted $47 million, but Wes, that's your division. You're a Portland Trailblazers show. Are you scared
No.
of the Lakers at all? The Los Angeles geriatrics?
I mean, depends if the Lakers ownership can get their shit together, but not really.
I mean, I just see a lot of guys on that basketball court that wear New Balance while they mow their lawns, and when they go to the grocery stores, they've got the socks pulled all the way up with their slips on. You know, it's it's definitely the oldest team I've ever seen that people even consider it to be a championship contender, and I only think that because they've got LeBron James, because Anthony Davis doesn't play.
Yeah.
He doesn't play ever. So I don't know. Would you want Russell Westbrook on the Trailblazers?
Not anymore. I don't think so. Maybe for
Okay, let me correct
maybe
myself.
if we could get him for like a lower price, like just for like the veteran leadership, but like not for the
But
price.
not at $47 million?
No, I'll pass.
Not. Also, if you think about a team like the Trailblazers, he's taking the ball out of your best player's hands. One of the best players in the NBA, right? If you bring in a Russell Westbrook, he's just going to take the ball from Damian Lillard.
Yeah.
And now the best player on the court doesn't have the ball.
Yeah.
So my other question for you is, do you take the other guy, Kyrie Irving?
I mean, me personally, no.
You don't like flat earthers. You're not a flat earther fan.
No. I don't want idiots on my team.
Yeah. So, Wes, are you familiar with why he missed half of last season?
Yes.
Let the audience know.
The COVID vaccine. He refused to get vaccinated. Yeah. Just like,
right, and it's a
big middle finger to his teammates, pretty much.
It really was, and the interesting thing about it is this wasn't a new thing, and it's never been a new thing, but a lot of people treated it like it was, and I'm not going to get political about it. It's, we all went to elementary school. We all had to get vaccines.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But he made it like a work conflict, and I'm like, yo, let me just tell you about all the troops you say you love. We sit in an assembly line of vaccinations,
right.
Okay? Literally.
I got like 6. I got 6 when I got to basic training.
You got 2 doctors on each side of you, or immunization technicians on each side of you, just going down an assembly line of boom, 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 boom. And then you get the tuberculosis right in your forearm, and it bubbles up like they put a microchip in you. Hey, if you want to know what it looks like to have a microchip in you, go get your TB shot, because that one actually looks like a microchip.
And then if you deploy, you have to get the anthrax vaccine, which is hell.
Smallpox.
Yeah.
anthrax, typhoid, which feels like ice water flowing through your veins. And I'm just like, some of you guys have either never been through anything of pain in your whole life, or you just forgot what it was like.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Taylor. Sorry, you look like you want to blurt something out.
No, I'm just. Oh, that's so much. Oh,
It's a lot.
God.
It's and you go through this assembly line, Taylor, after they take a pint of your blood in the other room.
Oh, I'd pass out.
They take a pint of your blood in one room, and then they give you a sugar cookie, they give you your orange juice, and they put you in the immunizations room. They walk you, and then they make you put your hands over a desk, right? They make you lean into it, and then they put a penicillin needle in your butt that's about
I mean, I'm sure you
Yep.
guys have to do like way more immunizations than your average person, but like, don't travelers have to get certain immunizations depending on like where
yeah.
they're going?
Yeah.
And that's a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
reason why.
Yeah, and Kyrie is a guy that claims to be all worldly and zen. Well, guess what, Kyrie? You got to get all these vaccinations if you go to India to be all zen and meet the Dalai Lama and do all these cool things you claim you want to do. In all of these countries, you're required to have certain vaccinations. So you want to go help Africa, Kyrie? Guess what? All these vaccinations, we deploy to Africa. And all of our troops that deploy to Africa, whether it be Djibouti or otherwise, they have to get all these vaccinations. So do you. You're not. Sorry, lack of a better term. You're not immune to this. Um, but it's not just that though, Wes. It seems like every franchise he leaves, he is a tinderbox. He just explodes every franchise he's a part of. Like Cleveland, before LeBron got there, that team got there again. Let me correct myself. Before LeBron got there again, it was terrible. It was god awful, and he led that team. And before LeBron got there, he was asked by a child in the audience, "Are you going to leave us like LeBron did?" And you know what he said? No. He lied.
Of course he did.
Let's do a little thing. Wes, wasn't he a part of the Celtics too?
Maybe.
Yeah,
I don't
he
know.
was a
I
part
forgot
of
what
the
teams
Celtics
he was on.
directly. Because no one can stand him. So he was a part of the Celtics directly after he was a part of the Cavaliers. And guess how many championships he won, guys? And now he was with Kevin Durant on the Brooklyn Nets over the last 2 seasons. Guess how many championships he won, guys? So at this point, do you take a volatile person that, yes, I think he can still contribute, but is it addition by subtraction with him at this point? Like, are you gaining more by not adding him?
Probably. I wouldn't add him.
If he's not going
I'll
to
go somewhere
No,
else.
right?
play or hinder your team when he does, then yeah, why? What?
I mean, he was still an all-star last year, but at the same
Mhm.
time, it's like, is he really worth the distraction?
That's a fan vote, though. That's a fan vote.
Money talks.
Like, they vote for the
And we
names they
know
know,
this.
kind of like politics in our country.
Yeah.
What was that, Taylor?
So money talks. You know this. If it doesn't matter if they're gonna necessarily win the championship, if the team is going to keep making money and the franchise is going to make money, and people are watching them regardless,
Mm-hmm.
that's what matters. The views, the merchandising, all of that stuff ultimately is what matters. If you win the championship or not, that doesn't really matter. People want to win the championships because that's what gives you the money. That's what makes people want to watch your team. But if people are already watching your team, who gives a shit?
Go ahead, Wes.
I was gonna say he was still putting up pretty good numbers. Like, I mean, he's been in the league for like 11 years now, and he's still putting up like decent numbers. So it's like,
He
I
only
mean,
played like half the season.
well, yeah, but like points per game wise, stuff like that. Like he was putting up good numbers. So at this point, it's like, do you want like the headache that he could be?
Yeah. And I think Taylor, you're right, because he is such a headache. He is a media circus, right? He's got eyeballs on him all the time because he's a sideshow freak. Great basketball player, like Wes said, but he is Sideshow Bob from The Simpsons. He's just, you don't know what you're going to get when he gets on that microphone. Like, he followed a group that said anyone that got vaccinated is going to hell because they got vaccinated on Twitter or pardon me, Instagram. Like he did a lot of stuff like that. And if you dig deep into what he's doing, I don't even know that he believes half the BS that he says. Like it's impossible. I can't.
I
I
wonder
don't
if
know.
that's him
I guess
compensating and like being concerned that if he had to play, he wouldn't deliver what people expect of him. So he's just like overly complicating everything, but also drawing media attention because then he's still relevant to the team and he still matters because he makes them money.
He's a diva. He's a diva.
if we can let Aaron Rodgers get away with being immunized, I guess this is okay. I guess this is
Don't get me
okay.
started on Aaron Rodgers. Fucking clown.
Oh my gosh. He wanted to be Alex Trebek so bad and then immunized.
They just told him to shut up.
It was really it was really something. That's all. He gave a lot of the fans a lot of ammo with that.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that when we get closer to football season. I promise, boys and girls. Especially with the whole "I'm holding out, but am I?" situation with Aaron Rodgers. Now, with these old players, we should also have some new hope this week in the form of the NBA draft. But Wes, I'm telling you right now, I've been going over this NBA draft since before the draft, trying to figure out, as we all do, like who gives our team hope, who's going to make our team better. And I'm just like, no one stands out to me in this year's draft. There's no Zion, there's no Trae Young, there's no Luka Doncic, there's no Cade Cunningham. These are all just people.
Yeah, they're good players, but I feel like part of that's because none of them like really grabbed the attention of like ESPN. Like when Zion was playing, like all they did, like it didn't matter who was playing. Like in the tournament, they would just like talk about Zion every game. Like didn't even matter if Duke was playing. It was Zion this, Zion that. There was no one that really kind of
Stood out.
yeah.
But I mean, there's a reason for that, right? Though it's if they're not keening on somebody and they're the worldwide leader in sports, there's a reason because they're in it for ratings as well. And if they know there's a player that's going to move that bar, right?
Yeah.
They're going to be on that player, and they're just I just don't see one this year. The only player that I think is even serviceable is Jabari Smith.
Yeah,
I think he
Jabari, I
can
was
be a
about to
game
say.
changer.
And the number 2 pick,
Jabari Smith.
Chet Holmgren. I mean, he sounds like an offensive lineman.
Do you remember a player by the name of Hashim Thabit?
Yes.
Hashim Thabit out of Georgetown. You remember? I was so high on this guy because I still thought 7-footers that could play defense mattered, and then like the whole league changed on me, and this guy couldn't even get on the court. He was a lottery pick.
Yeah.
That's who Chet Holmgren is to me.
Yeah. Well,
Is that weird?
the Oregon center, what's his name? Ball. I mean,
Bol.
yeah, Bol. He was like one of the greatest like recruits that Oregon ever had, and then he got injured, and now he's barely seen any action in the NBA. Like he was supposed to be a lottery pick, and then he got injured.
Look at him.
And he just fell down the board.
It looks like his legs are gonna get broken walking on the court.
Toothpicks.
He's built so tall, but he's like oh man, I gotta be careful here. I don't want to talk about someone's looks, but his legs look like they could snap at any second. That's all I'll say. The other player, you know what, Wes, that I'd like to keep an eye on, so we're documenting here, just so you guys know, for our NBA season audience, we are documenting our thoughts and prediction. Is I like Keegan Murray out of Iowa. Actually, I liked him too much in our March Madness tournament because he cost me quite a few games in my bracket. But I like Keegan Murray. I like scorers in today's NBA.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I'll be keeping an eye on Shaden Sharp, so we'll see how he does with the Blazers.
Oh,
He's a Kentucky guy now, so we'll see.
Well, look at Tyler Hero, man. Tyler Hero was drafted 13th to the Miami Heat, and he's been great. So sometimes those Kentucky guys, you're on a loaded team, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, Kentucky's always loaded. They always have like five stars on their team. It's ridiculous, but they still can't win.
Yeah, I was gonna say if they could just win a championship, they'd be the Alabama of college basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah. So needless to say, then I think we're both thinking the same thing. There's no game changers this year. There's no Ja Morant. There's no Zion Williams, like you said. There's not even a Blake Griffin in this draft. It's man, I hope I'm wrong because I love watching the young cats play, but it just doesn't look good.
I mean, one of these guys is going to stand out next year, and he's going to take the NBA by storm like every year. So
We hope. But speaking of folks that came out and they took the NBA by storm their first year, Trae Young got a running mate today in DeJounte
yeah,
Murray from the Spurs, but they gave up quite a
three
load,
first
right?
round picks.
Man, that seems like a lot, but
That
then you
is a
think
lot.
back to, is it because the Celtics had those 3 Nets picks for so long and they never did anything with them, right? Well, now I look like an idiot actually because I think one of those picks turned into either Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum. But they held him for so long. So are picks still valuable, or would you rather have that proven commodity in DeJounte Murray?
I think there's a line you got to balance here.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't think DeJounte Murray is worth 3 first round picks. But that's
I'm
my
with you. That was shocking when I saw. He's good. He's
Yeah.
a baller. But 3 first round picks is a lot. Now we're talking about trades, right? We're playing a little fantasy ball here. What will we do? And there's a forgotten player in this whole. We promised we wouldn't beat you guys up with it, but Deshaun Watson saga. We don't know what's happening with him. He's a creep. He's a weirdo. None of us like him, but now we've got a really good, I don't want to say great, but a really good quarterback that had a bad rap last year because he played hurt the whole season in Baker Mayfield. And I think that the Seahawks are going to get him before the end of his career. I truly believe he will play for the Seahawks. You're shaking your head no at me already.
I mean, okay, like he's not going to play for the Seahawks next year, and some other team is going to pick him up. I guarantee you. Because I think the only reason why the Browns are holding on to him is because they want to see what the hell happens with Deshaun Watson. And so
he's going to give him double middle fingers. He's going to be like, screw you guys. You went and picked out this younger, sexier model.
I really
to be a trash bag.
I really hope Deshaun Watson gets suspended and then Baker Mayfield just refuses to play.
Screw you guys.
Yeah.
Screw you guys.
But no, I don't think he's going to go to the Seahawks. I mean, they had the chance. This was like the perfect opportunity. He wanted to trade, and the Seahawks weren't even interested in it. They didn't show any interest. Instead, they're stuck with like Drew Lock or Geno Smith. Like, that's where we're going with. And it's like they both suck. What are you doing? Are you trying to tank us? Like, I mean, if so, that's fine. Just tell us.
One of my favorite questions this week was, who would you rather have, Geno Smith or Baker Mayfield? And I was like, is this a serious question? This can't be. Did we just forget about Geno Smith? Played as recently as last year and was terrible. As recently as last year. Like you had you had your 4-fingered Russell Wilson out there, or 3-fingered Russell Wilson, because that 4th finger wasn't fully healed yet.
He was just as good as Geno Smith.
Well, you just had to get Geno off the field.
I know.
You just had to get Geno off the field, was what it was. It was insane. It stuff like that makes me laugh, but it reminds me sports fans is short for sports fanatic, right? It makes no sense. We're fanatical, and I'm glad you have a clear head, because when I saw that, I lost my mind. I was like, this can't be real. This is the dumbest question I've ever seen. Like, we're forgetting about him playing for the Jets.
Where did you see that question?
It was on Seahawks Twitter. It was one of the reporters that writes on Seahawks Twitter posted the question, who would you guys rather have?
They're an idiot.
Right? 100%. And I mean, so are the Browns. So is Jimmy Haslam, right? Because now you have a first overall pick that doesn't like you because he put his whole heart on the line for you. And I'm not saying Baker's great, but I'm not going to discount the fact that he was hurt all last year, like playing with one arm, like his arm's like out there just flopping around, and he's trying to run away from JJ giant ass Watt.
He's better than Johnny Manziel was.
He is better than Johnny Manziel was. R.I.P. Oh wait, he's still alive. We've just forgotten him. So, actually, that's the biggest headache that Nick Saban ever had, in my opinion, was Johnny Manziel.
He couldn't beat him.
The biggest headache.
Dude, ran all over Alabama.
The biggest headache of all time. So, as far as these things are concerned, I want to get more into the NFL next week, I'm sure. But is there anyone that you can think of right now that is a true game changer that is worth 3 picks in the NFL? Could you ever see that happen in the NFL? 3 first round picks?
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady. Because he'll play till we're old. He'll play till we retire.
Yeah.
Taylor's gonna be somewhere fancy, living on a hill, retired, and Tom Brady's still gonna be on her
Oh
television.
yeah. Tom Brady's never retiring. At least I hope.
At least I'll recognize someone.
There you go. There you go, 100%. I was gonna say maybe Patrick Mahomes, but I don't even know if he would fetch 3 first round draft picks.
Oh,
I
easy,
don't.
easy.
The NFL's so stingy with draft picks, though. That's why I say that. I think you try. I'll give you 2 firsts, 2 seconds, $10 million.
Yeah.
Before they give you that third draft
But
pick.
from the
I
little
could see
I
that.
know about football, like Patrick Mahomes is not only good at playing football, he's a name that a lot of people
He's
recognize and flock
great.
towards. He's got a fandom. Like, how could you really go wrong? I think that he'd be worth it.
You know, yeah, I'm probably wrong. I'm sure if he was ever available, teams would throw everything at
Oh
him,
yeah,
right? Everything at.
because he's
But
still
I
young.
do think that. Yeah, I do think though that the NFL is very stingy with first round draft picks. I really do. So I think that they would try to give them players and stuff before they started. They would give up players, known players, I think, before they would give up a first round draft pick. How many first round draft picks did Deshaun haul in? It wasn't 3, was it? It was 2.
No, I
Two
can't.
firsts and a second. I want to say
I
it was 2 first round picks and a second and a third, and then
well,
cash. But
so Russell Wilson got 2 first round picks. He got a 22 and a
yeah,
23 first round pick, and then 2 second round picks.
so that's
So if Russell Wilson can get that, Patrick Mahomes is going to go for way more.
well, I think we would both consider Deshaun Watson a top 10 quarterback when he's not a rapist. I mean, allegedly a rapist. So I just can't recall exactly what they got for him. And now, let me see here. Yeah, he didn't even get 3 first round picks, man. He got
What did
exchanged
he
for the
get?
13th and 107th overall draft selections in this year's draft, and a first and a third round pick in 2020. Oh, he did get 3 first rounders. Never mind, I was wrong. I was wrong. There it is, 2024. Well, there you go, boys and girls. Apparently, we will trade 3 first round picks all the way out till 2024. But yeah, that's crazy. All right, so we have a big boxing match coming up. A reminder of our childhood. Probably 2 of the best running backs from our childhood. You know what I'm talking about here, Wes?
Adrian Peterson and Levon Bell. AP was.
Yeah, I think. Go ahead. Go
Oh,
ahead.
I was gonna say, man, watching AP at Oklahoma was like something special. And then when he came into the
Mhm.
NFL, same thing, man. And I was happy to have him on the Seahawks for the short time we did, even if he was kind of old and kind of out of his prime. But
The end of his career.
yeah,
Well, when it comes to this boxing match, though, yes, it's a circus. It's
oh, of course.
100% a circus. Yeah, it's all for the money, right? But I can't help but think to myself, man, I'd really rather watch these 2 guys do Oklahoma drills against each other. Not that I'm promoting CTE, okay? But these are 2 of the biggest mashers,
Yeah.
that we
Oh
have.
yeah.
I'd love to see them just go head up, right? So put them in an MMA cage and let them just smash into each other.
I'm
Uh,
more excited for this than like any other boxing match. Like, I mean, these things always
fair.
draw more views. Like Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather. Like
How old are these guys?
those outdraw. They're in like 30s.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think Adrian Peterson's older than us. I think Adrian Peterson is 38-ish,
It's not that
39-ish.
old.
You don't think so?
I don't
Let me
think so.
see. Let me find it out. But Le'Veon Bell, I might be a little off there. Le'Veon
He's
Bell didn't
younger.
have as aggressive a style as Adrian Peterson had, right? He was more of somebody that would wait for it. My prediction for this fight is I think Adrian Peterson's going to get him. What do you think?
I think I got Levon Bell.
So
I just
37
think
years old for Adrian Peterson. So I was close.
okay.
I said 37, 38 years old, right? And then Le'Veon Bell is going to be
30. He's
30
30.
years old.
So how
He's got
is
some
it that
years on him, and I feel like he's also got a little more bulk on him too.
Yeah, I just think Adrian Peterson's going to pound him.
Nah,
Go ahead, Taylor.
how is it these two have come to a boxing match? They're football
because they
players, you
still
said?
want money and they're retired.
Oh, they're
A little bit of money, baby.
former NFL players.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
Oh,
absolutely.
I didn't
Levon
know
Bell
that.
is
I
still
didn't know
looking
that you were
for
too young to play football when you were 30.
running backs have like the shortest career span out of any NFL player. But I think Levon Bell is still looking for work. I think he's still looking. He's a free agent, but he's looking.
Le'Veon Bell talks his way out of every job he gets, though. That's the issue with Le'Veon Bell. Like, even when he could play, when he had a good coach in Mike Tomlin, he just talks his way. What is up with the killer bees, man? That just brought me right back. Ben Roethlisberger, allegedly a rapist. Uh, Antonio Brown, we all saw that happen right before our eyes. Le'Veon Bell can't shut up. These guys could have been a great, amazing offense for a very long time, and they couldn't get out of their own way.
Don't get me started on Antonio Brown.
I guess my real
Go ahead,
question is
Taylor.
like, where's the beef? Like, how is it these two are the ones who came to the boxing
There's
situation?
no beef. It's just for entertainment.
Yeah, this is not like a I hate you. Oh, well, I hate you too. We should fight each other. It's more of a money thing. It really is. It's a money
So
grab.
some random person just went to both of them and was like, "I want to see you two fight." They're like, "Yeah, sure, why not?"
Probably their agent.
Yeah,
Probably their agent. Well,
they probably have
recently
the
we had
same agent
Frank
or
Gore.
something.
Yeah, I'm sure it's the agent. But recently we had Frank Gore, who is one of one of the stars of the other podcast we have on this network's favorite players of all time. Mr. Michael Pacheco's favorite player of all time is Frank Gore. Big 49ers fan over there, although you never know with the way he treats football. He had a boxing match, and he just recently knocked somebody out. So
Oh,
he lost the boxing
was
match
that
and
this
then
last
knocked somebody
week?
out. Go ahead, Wes.
Was that this last week?
Not this last week. It was this last month, though.
Oh
Last
man,
month he knocked somebody out cold.
jeez.
So it's money, Taylor. It's
Oh
it's
yeah,
it's a circus sport. It really is. Boxing is a circus sport at this point, and we just want to see people punch each other. Like we watched Danny Bonaducci in celebrity boxing. Of course, we're gonna watch a couple athletes. You
No,
know,
I was just curious
like
how
of
it
course
ended
we are.
up being these two. Like
they're
usually, like you
probably
said, with a
friends.
Logan Paul or someone stupid like that, they're calling out somebody because they think they're tough. Um, I was just wondering if that was this situation, if like they're friends and they're like, "Oh, we can make money, let's do this together," like, or someone
Probably
random was
that.
just like,
Yeah,
"I want to see these guys fight. They're not doing anything. I could pay them."
they were probably just hanging out, and they were like, they got stoned, and they were like, you know what? Let's box.
It's legal now. Of course they did. Of course they did. That's 100% what happened.
Yeah,
I will say this though: boxing's a lot of show. It's a lot of show. It's a lot of talking. Get the fight hyped up. They're gonna traffic in racial moralities and all this stuff
It's not
because they
wrestling.
want to sell a fight. What's that?
It's not wrestling.
I mean, it is kind of now. It's just they actually hit each other.
yeah.
As far as the way they market it, it's kind of wrestling. It's a show. Like I don't believe one thing about Jake or Logan Paul. I think it's all a show, baby. We're just putting on a
Oh
show to
yeah,
get
for
the
sure.
Yeah,
fans
but
into the
they were
audience.
like
Yeah,
characters before they became boxers. That's a
yeah.
little different in my opinion. I think this is also kind of a unique circumstance because they're not originally boxers, they're football players. So that's definitely the
Celebrity
gimmick
boxing.
here.
It's all the rage now.
But yeah.
Well, as as we said on Gorp this week, and you will see that presumably before this podcast drops. Uh, at the Sad Fan Podcast Network, we stand with those that are fighting against the Supreme Court's ruling last week. And that's no different on this podcast, our mothership. We stand by all of the women marching and protesting in the streets. We stand by all marginalized audiences. We stand by our LGBTQ communities. And we stand against the Supreme Court ruling and the Supreme Court ruling to take away more things in the future, like contraception and the right to gay marriage. But you know who else stands with us, Wes?
Who?
The quarterback of the Cincinnati Bengals, Mr. Joe Burrow.
There you go.
He has been very vocal for women's rights this week.
Good for him.
And he was so vocal this week, pardon me, for women's rights that he got the attention of one Nick Adams, one big old piece of shit, Nick Adams, who came out and said, perhaps Cincinnati Bengals should bring in Tim Tebow in case their woke, fragile, and often injured quarterback, Joe Burrow, doesn't get the job done this season. So, yeah, inflammatory language from him just because we support women's right to choose and
Who is
women's
this
rights
guy?
over their body and the ultimate right, freedom. What's that, Wes?
Who is this guy?
He's a political commentator on Twitter and other social media platforms. And, exactly. I share your sentiment, my sentiment exactly.
Fuck
This
off.
guy is a douchebag. And we will continue to stand by those that are fighting for their rights and the freedom over their own body. But Joe Burrow didn't feel the need to respond because Joe Burrow, like us, believe that Nick Adams is in fact an idiot. And
Good.
instead of responding with words, all Joe Burrow did was retweet Nick Adams, one of his tweets that he sent to Joe Burrow during the playoffs that happened this year. Ryan Tannehill went woke last year, and now he just got eliminated by Joe Burrow, a Christian warrior, a selfless attitude. What a great game and an even better result. Nick Adams, you're an idiot.
He just owned himself.
He got himself.
Congrats, you
Well, not
played
even
yourself.
4 months ago. Not even 4 months ago. The Titans played the Bengals not even 4 months ago. What are you doing? You're just being an idiot like we all know you are. You're just being an idiot.
He doesn't care about football.
No, this guy's the stupidest person on earth. Like many people that are coming out with their half-cocked reasons as to why women in this country shouldn't have rights. And I'm just going to call them all idiots right now. And if you're a part of that audience, like I said on Gorp, we don't need you. You don't have to be here. We support freedom. We support women's rights to choose. And we support every marginalized community in our great country because that's what we believe America stands for. Freedom for all, not just white males. Sorry, guys. White straight males, pardon me. All right. So that is all I have for you guys today. Wes, do you have anything else for us today?
Nope. That's
all
it.
right. Taylor, what about you?
No, yeah, I just want to thank everybody for joining us and supporting us in supporting women. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thanks, Taylor.
I appreciate that. Go ahead, Wes. What was that?
I said, thanks, Taylor.
I think he said, we love you, Taylor. I think that's what he said. I yelled over his voice. So if you guys have any questions about that, or you want to bring it to us on Twitter because you disagree with what the stance we're taking is, you can reach me at The Sad Fan on Twitter and at The Sad Fan on Instagram. You could also reach us on our YouTube videos, soon to be streaming across platforms just for the audio version, the MP3 version on Spotify and Apple Pods. As soon as they're up, we will let you know. I promise. I will be tweeting. I will be Instagramming. I will be doing whatever it takes to let you guys know on all of my platforms, which, again, you can reach me at The Sad Fan. Wes, where can they reach you?
One of these days, I'm going to make a social media account, and you're going to be flabbergasted.
I'll be amazed. I'll just be shocked. But, again, remember, he will pay the first person that finds him and calls him out as Wes from The Sad Fan on Twitter. If you can find his Twitter, he will pay you $100. And, Taylor, where can they reach you?
Find me on social media at It's Taylor Stone.
There you go. And thank you as always. We're hoping we made you happy here on The Sad Fan. Come back next week.
Bye.